Welcome to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. This is going to be a good one today. This is going to be a topic that I've wanted to do for a while. We're talking about how hot Sean Marks' hot shoot is. Was this just this draft just a tactic to try to stall and delay what's inevitable because it's not been good for Sean Marks. But I wanted to introduce Dylan, and I wanted to ask you a trivia question. I got it. It took me 7 guesses. I want to give it to you. 6 Nets have ever been named NBA All-Star, so ABA doesn't count. NBA All-Star. 6 starters in the NBA All-Star game. Who are they?
KD. I want to say Harden was his year here.
That's the one I got wrong. No Harden.
No,
he wasn't a net.
Okay.
He wasn't a net. He was a Rocket, and then he was a Sixer. He was never actually a net.
He wasn't a net during that year when we traded for him. He wasn't an All-Star starter that year.
No, because he got all his votes. He got all his votes in the West. He was an All-Star, but he wasn't an All-Star starter.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So KD, Kid.
That's 2.
I would probably. I mean, Vince had to have been a starter.
VC, you're halfway there. You're halfway home.
All right. I'm gonna say Brook Lopez was never a starter.
I'll give you a hint. 2 of them were teammates, and there's a teammate of another guy on this list. That was
was one Kenny Anderson?
Kenny Anderson is one.
All right,
there?
I'm assuming it's one of his teammates. I'm gonna say, was it Derek Coleman?
If you get this, if you get this, you're gonna.
Was it Derek Coleman or
Kenny? Yo, DC, you're one away. This should be obvious because it was. This last one should be obvious.
Is it recent?
Yeah.
Kyrie wasn't a starter.
Kyrie.
Wow.
So you got KD, Kyrie, Kid. So it's basically 3 sets of teammates. You got KD, Kyrie, Kid, VC, Kenny Anderson, DC. Kenny Anderson and DC were named starters in the same year, and so were KD and Kyrie.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Those are your 6. We've actually, for a bad franchise, we've actually had a bunch of All-Stars, like a lot of All-Stars. Devin Harris, D'Angelo Russell, Stephon Marbury. Like, we've had Jason Williams, Chris Gatling. Like, we've had a ton of guys actually make the All-Star game for a bad team. We've had a lot. Like, one-time All-Stars. Like, we've had our share of guys make the All-Star game. I'd like to see Michael Porter Jr. make that. I think it's with the East injured with no Tatum. I think it's possible. If he comes out and averages 24 and 8, I know it's going to be rough because it's the Nets, but I don't think that's like impossible. And if you're averaging 24 and 8, you can make the All-Star game, right?
Probably, I would say so.
I'd like to see Michael Porter Jr. make the All-Star game.
I mean, I would love to see that. That would be great for us.
I'd probably watch the All-Star game again if Michael Porter Jr. was on the team. All right. I want to get into the topic of today's topic. It's a good one, and I've been wanting to do the show, but so much Cam Thomas news and so much drama came up, I kind of pushed it to the back burner. But I want to spend some time on this. I've been on the record saying that Sean Marks is the worst GM that's ever lived. Somehow, the list of longest NBA executives, he's 4th behind legends, Pop, Riley, Presti. After that, he's the 4th longest tenured GM in basketball. How is that possible, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't even know what to say. It shouldn't be possible, but somehow it is. He's defied the odds of what it means to be a dog shit front office member. Like, he's one of the worst. It's not even close to how bad he is at his job in terms of other people around the league. Like Brad Stevens became GM, and within 2-3 years, he's done better things for that organization than Sean Marks has done for the past 9 years, going into year 10. Like, it's sad. He's horrible. Whatever he has on Joe Tsai, it's got to be some form of high-level death penalty felony. Like, there's got to be something. Because there's no way that a guy like Sean Marks continuously has a job through 4 different generations of Nets basketball.
I've got the stats pulled up. He's never been beyond the second round of the playoffs. His career record as GM is 327 and 419. He's 9-21 in the playoffs. He's won 1 playoff series ever. Do you know how many? I know we don't really look at divisions anymore, like Atlantic Division, but do you know how many times he finished better than 4th place? So either last place or next to last place. You know how many times in his 10 years he's finished better than 4th place?
Once.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the year that you were the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed, right? It was the year that you were the 2nd or 3rd seed.
They were in 2021. They were in 2nd place behind Philly. Every other year they've been last place or next to last place. Dylan, this is so bad. What is the argument for even keeping him at this point? Explain to me, like I'm 5, why he has a job here. Help me out.
He shouldn't have a job. There's no reason that he has a job. There's not one logical reason that says, wow, Sean Marks has earned his spot this upcoming year. And you could say that for every year for the past 5. Like, there's not one reason that says that Sean Marks should be the GM of this team after the first failed year with Katie and Kyrie, like in 2021 against the Bucks. There's just no reason. At that year's deadline, the following year after we lost in Game 7, he should have been fired. Not trading guys like Patty Mills, Joe Harris, not improving the roster around what you had. Those are all fireable offenses. He should not have a job.
And yeah, that was 2021. That was 20. Yeah, he's had 4 seasons since then, and they've all gotten progressively worse.
Yeah, they've gotten progressively worse at a rapid rate as well.
Right, and then last year, the year you wanted to bottom out, you didn't. You started off, I think, 9-9 or 2. What was the start last year? 10-9 or 9-9? What did they start off last year?
We were 9-10 to start.
9-10. It's like, and that if you look at the rest of the season, we had that one streak where we won 5 out of 7, but it was really that 9-10 start that kind of ruined the tank. Like, you can't start 9-10 with the worst roster in basketball in a year that you were clearly looking to tank. And we talked about, now look, we ended up with Michael Porter Jr. for Cam, but we said before last season started, you had to trade those guys. You had to trade DFS and you had to trade Cam Johnson before the season started. And he couldn't even do that. And he messed up the tank. Now, next year's prize, we both agree. Is that all well that ends well, or is that still an unforgivable sin for what he did last year, starting off 9-10?
No, teams undervalued us. They didn't play us seriously, and guys that we had on the roster had chips on their shoulders to prove themselves and prove everybody else wrong.
But those guys should have been gone, is my point. Like, the guys with the chips on their shoulders should have been gone.
So immediately from the jump, why you don't have a top 3 pick this year, yes, that's on Sean Marks. I don't care if you're the worst team in the league and you pick at 5. We've talked about this numerous times. Picking at 5 this year gets you Ace Bailey.
But let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. If we end up with Michael Porter Jr. and a top 3 pick in next year's draft, is that all's well that ends well?
For the rebuild portion of it, in terms of drafting, yes. But in terms of what he does with it afterwards, no.
Yeah.
You still need to see if he can properly build a roster around these guys, if he can build a staff that can properly develop that top 3 pick into a superstar. You have to be able to bring back Michael Porter Jr. on a reasonable deal. He should not be making $40 million no matter what, in his next contract. But $25 to $30 million as your third option, I can get behind that, especially if you're looking to contend at that point. You have to see what he does with the boatload of draft capital that he has and upcoming flexibility in terms of cap space. Can he bring in another star to help out with some of these young guys, the potential superstar that you draft, the potential high caliber third option in Michael Porter Jr.? Like, you have to see what he does with the remainder of it. So it's a step-by-step process of if he can right his wrongs. But if you land a top 3 pick, then you fixed what you fucked up this past season. And afterwards in the 2027 offseason, depending on how the development of the team goes, say that top 3 pick looks like a star immediately and is on the way to being a superstar, then there's no reason not to go out and trade or sign for, a high caliber first or second option player.
Here's a problem that I had. Oh, I want to give you a shout out. Dylan at Nets Press over on IG already did the 2026 mock draft because you're a sick bastard.
First unofficial one. I am a psychopath. It is a sickness. I have been literally refreshing mock draft simulators for like 3 weeks now, just trying to find one that has 2026 players, and I finally found one. So, yep, I am going to be on there at least 4 times a week, doing different scenarios.
Once the season starts, we'll start looking at.
Once college starts, once we get like 3 weeks into the college season, I would definitely say start doing.
So we'll start around Christmas time. How's that, Dylan? Does that work?
Oh, that may be a bit too late.
That's too late.
We may have to start at the end of October when the season starts because
the NBA season because college basketball season doesn't start till later in November. But you want
No, I'm pretty sure college starts a month earlier. No,
college basketball
because they end in April. We end NBA ends in June.
No,
pretty sure college starts a month early.
I could be wrong. College basketball season opener.
Oh no, it is November 3rd. Shit.
It was
November 3rd this past this upcoming year. Right. Oh damn, that sucks. So I don't get to watch any basketball. So it pretty much starts on time with the NBA.
Pretty much.
Interesting.
Start later. All right.
Yeah, I always thought it started a couple weeks before the NBA. That sucks. Jesus, so I really only get to watch baseball and UFC for the next fucking 3 months. This is.
Well, you got football.
I can't complain with UFC.
I'm
a Steelers fan. They'll start off 1-4 or 4-1, and they'll still make the wild card and lose. Whatever. It's a rough life out here. I'd rather be the Jets. I'd rather know I suck.
No, you wouldn't. Because I would rather know I suck.
I would rather know I suck, so this way I don't get my hopes up every year. But
I'd rather go 9-8 every year than 5-12. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Oh my God, no. If I have to pick one more time between the picks of 20 and 24 and get some bullshit player that doesn't pan out, I'm gonna freak out.
Let me ask you a question. What were you doing 2010 AFC Championship game, Jets Steelers?
Crying.
Okay. I want to put this out there. That was the last time the Jets made the playoffs. That was the last game the Jets ever played in the playoffs. It was 2010. You still want to be a Jets fan?
I'm pretty sure that's the last time we won a fucking playoff game.
It might be the last time you won a playoff game.
Yeah, like my God.
I don't know if that's true, but it might be.
I'm pretty sure 2012 or 2013 was probably the last year that we made it out of the wild card.
And they make it every year, which is wild. Like, how do they keep losing? Like, just by luck, you think you luck your way into a win.
Because Mike Tomlin isn't a good head coach. He's a dog shit head coach.
You could argue that either way. He's made it to the playoffs every year with different rosters, different different players, different quarterbacks.
He gets outclassed every year in the playoffs.
That's
in the last 4 years alone, in the last 4 playoff appearances that the Steelers have had since TJ Watt has been on the team, they have allowed 41 points per game on the defensive end. You suck. just fuck off. Don't even make it. Like, we got blown out by the Pats. We got blown out by, what was it? I believe the Browns. We got blown out by the Jaguars. And then we got blown out this past season by the Chiefs. Or, yeah, was it the Chiefs this year or was it I think it was last year. Yeah, they're a fucking joke. I'm a realistic
They're still
fan.
making the playoffs every year. I get it. I get it. But it's like the Nets. When the Nets got swept in the first round of the playoffs like 3 out of 4 years or whatever. It's hard to watch. Like, they got swept out of the first round in the bubble.
Yep.
Then they went to the second round. Then they got swept by Boston. And then they got swept by Philly.
Yep.
It's tough to take. It's like we're not even competitive in these series.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like the Steelers. Like if you're going to make the playoffs, look competitive. If not, don't make it. Like, yeah, I would rather know my season's over before knowing my season's actually over. Because every single time the Steelers make the wild card game, I know my season's over. I don't even watch the game. I don't even watch. I watch the first quarter, and we're already down 24, and I'm like, all right, cool, season's over. I knew it. It's like the same shit with the Nets. If you make the first round, don't look like you don't belong there.
In 18-19, they won game 1, and they were competitive in that series.
Mm-hmm. That was was that against the Raptors?
No, that was against Philly.
That was against Philly as well. Oh, yes. That was the Ben Simmons, Jared Dudley.
The Raptors years was the bubble season where they were completely outclassed. When Karis LeVert was trying to carry the team, like, this ain't gonna work.
Yep.
And then and they lost to Boston. They were competitive in the games, but you got swept by Boston. You were competitive in the games, you weren't competitive in the series. And then after they traded KD and Kyrie, they got outclassed by Philly. It's like they're not even competitive in the series. They're not even, outside of Boston, they weren't even competitive in any of the games. It's like this is not good. This is not good. The Nets are not in good shape, and that's a lot in part due to Sean Marks. He wasn't good at getting the Nets over the finish line. He's also not good at building a roster, and I want to start with this first. The 5 picks. We're just going to start with this offseason. We talked about not trading Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith to start last year, which ruined the draft for this year. And then this year, the five draft picks. First time that's ever been done in NBA history. I want to start with Yegor. I'm not even mad about Yegor, but we tried to tank to get the best pick possible. And then we took Yegor, who we probably could have just got at the Suns pick at 11. So that's a complete. So you traded all those picks to get your own pick back, and then at your pick, you overdrafted a guy. I don't even hate the pick, but do you see how that's a failed plan?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's trying to bank on 5 players to make up for his mistakes, which is you messed up our draft lottery odds by not moving players soon enough to obtain a higher percentage chance of getting a higher pick. You refuse to trade up. I don't care if people want to say it takes 2 to make a deal. You watched multiple deals get made in this draft. If you wanted to move up, you would have moved up. When there's somebody that you like, that you feel is worth it, you go that extra step to make sure it happens. Marks has never had the balls to do something of value. Never has. He has no sack. There's nothing down there, I'm convinced. So taking 5 players, he's trying to buy himself time and say, I took these 5 guys. Let's give them 2-3 years, see how they turn out. At this point, it's just buying time. If anybody in their right mind believes Sean Marks should have had a job this past season, you're out of your mind. Like, you've seen an 8-year sample size prior to this 9th season where he's going on to year 10 now, where you can obviously see that he does not have what it takes to be a general manager of an organization, whether that is during a rebuild with no picks, whether that is a contending team, or whether that is a rebuild with your own picks. He has not showcased any form of ability to be consistent and be reliable in building out teams in those situations. He hasn't.
The other thing I wanted to address real quick was the Terrence Mann trade, which at the time I loved. I look back at it now. You're taking on Terrence Mann's contract, which is very bad, to get a 5th first-round pick. And then you drafted – then you overdrafted Drake Powell at 22 when you clearly could have got him at 26. So I don't even like that trade in retrospect after I saw what you did with it, because you could have just took Powell at 26. So you ended up getting an extra pick, which is actually Ben Sharaf. So in reality, we're taking on Terrence Mann's contract, which is bad, and I don't think he's tradable, to get Ben Sharaf, which is another L. So it's an L in getting Terrence Mann's contract, and it's an L in drafting Ben Sharaf. Why is that not a bad trade? Because you didn't have to take Drake Powell at 22. You could have got him at 26 if you wanted to.
Yeah, you 100% could have gotten him at 26. I don't think a team would have taken him at 22 or 23 or 24 or 25. Like, he should have been available there at 26 and 27. Even if you wanted to take all 5 picks, there was a way to go about it that was better than the way that they took. Drafting 3 guards that all do the same thing was beyond fucking stupid. There was absolutely no need for it. You probably could have gotten Traore at 22. You still could have gotten Sharaf probably at 36. Like, if you really wanted somebody, you could have waited a bit more instead of reaching on every pick that you took. The only pick that wasn't a reach was Danny Wolf. And like I said, there was ways to go about the draft that would have been 10 times better if you took all 5 picks. I don't care if you go with Yegor at 8. I like Yegor. I think he's going to be good. If you feel somebody's your guy, you take him. I 100% agree with it. So say you take Yegor at 8. You could have taken a guy like Will Riley at 19. You still could have gotten Traore at 22, or you could have even switched that pick to a guy like, Nick Clifford or Austin Noel. Let's just say it's Nick Clifford in this instance. So you got 2 wings and you got a point guard. At 26 and 27, you could have then taken Rasheer Fleming and Danny Wolf. or you could have taken Drake Powell and Rasheer Fleming, or you could have taken, Drake Powell and Danny Wolf, whatever combination you want to do with those 2 picks. That's how you fill out a roster. You didn't need to go out and grab 3 point guards that do the same shit. If you're going to grab somebody that does something different. You could have taken Yegor and then gone Kasparis Yakachonis, who is a guy that I'm not high on at all, but at least it's somebody that does something different, right? The whole point of taking multiple players is to fill the holes of certain needs that you have, rather than filling just one need with 4 different players. You got 3 guards that do the same thing, and you have Danny Wolf, who is a primary playmaker. As it doesn't make sense.
All right, so I wanted to address that, right? We've got on him for the Ben Saraf thing. In retrospect, I don't even like the Terrence Mann trade because we got no value in that Terrence Mann trade. We just took on a bad contract. We could have got Troy at 22. We could have got Drake Powell at 26. And my biggest problem is that we traded all of those Suns picks to get our own pick, and then took a guy we could have got with the Suns pick, and then what I'm saying? There's none of this makes any sense. There seems to be no planning. It just seems to be all off the hip. All I wasn't expecting that. So now I'll just draft 5 guys. I remember getting to the draft that day, and you told me there were rumors the Nets were going to pick use all 5 picks. Yep. And I was like, there's no way. I was laughing at that idea. Every time Silver got up, I'm expecting the Nets make a trade. And then it never happened. And they just kept picking guys. And like you said, they didn't even fill any holes. It seems like they were just picking dudes. And it's like, I've heard a lot of takeaways from the draft. The one takeaway I have not heard yet is the Nets did really good on draft day. They really set up their franchise.
No, every single analyst and person around the league has mentioned that the Nets had the worst draft, that they had the biggest reach in the draft, which was Yegor, which, again, I understand the biggest reach. If you take a guy at 8 and he's projected 15 or 16, I understand the move if you feel that guy is your guy with the highest upside. I don't disagree with the first pick. But the other ones following is just pure stupidity. I'm looking at the list right now. The Nets at 19, you had Kasparis Yakachonis, Will Riley, Asa Newell, Nick Clifford, Jace Richardson. Those were the guys who were still available at 19, right? Say you switch Nolan Traore to Will Riley. At 22, we took Drake Powell.
You could have took Traore at 22.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because you had Traore, Yakachonis, and Jace Richardson still on the board. You could have gotten the secondary point guard at 22. 3 players at the same position at pick 19 compared to 22. That's a 3-pick difference. There's no way in hell that 2 teams in between you can pick 3 point guards. One of them would have been available. That's what I'm saying. It's pure stupidity on how they went about this draft class. So like I said, let's just say you go with Will Riley at 19, right? Yakachonis gets taken at 20. That Will Riley in Washington deal probably doesn't happen. Unless if they go for, unless if they trade for a Nick Clifford or Asa Newell, whatever it may be. Let's just say for this instance, Washington goes with Asa Newell, right? So Asa Newell's off the board at 22. You would still have Nick Clifford, Nolan Traore, Jace Richardson still on the board, right? If it's my pick, I'm happy with any 3 of the 3. But preferably, I probably would have gone with Nick Clifford there. Just because if you're looking at how you already have drafted, you have a young upside wing, you have a young upside point guard that's a project player. Now go get a guy that can be a veteran presence for the rookies, right? Go get Nick Clifford. He was by far the best upperclassman on the board throughout the entire first round. I would put him slightly above Rasheer Fleming, even though I think Rasheer Fleming has more upside, right? Say you go Nick Clifford, or you go with Jace Richardson, or Nolan Traore, right? Whatever you want to do, you have the choice right here. Which one of those 3 would you take at 22 after selecting Yegor and Will Riley? Yeah. Would you go with the secondary point guard now, knowing that both of them are not going to be on the board by 26, or would you go with Nick Clifford as a plug-in, ready to go type of guy now?
That's an interesting one. Either way, that's an interesting question.
Let's just say they stick with Nolan at 22.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have Yegor, Will Riley, and Nolan. at 26 and 27, you could have
Will
gone
Riley.
with you
Yeah.
could have gone with Danny Wolf, Liam
Um,
McNeely, Rasheer Fleming. You could have even gone with a guy like Noah Penda. Like, there was multiple guys on the board that I would have loved at those positions, right? So they haven't drafted a big. Let's just stick with the pick. Let's say at 26 it's Danny Wolf, right? That leaves you with Yegor, Will Riley, Nolan Traore, and Danny Wolf so far. So you have a primary ball handler, a guy that can play the 1 and the 2. And you also have a guy that can play the 2 and the 3 in Will Riley, plus a guy that can play the 4 and the 5. That's versatility. That's multi-positional basketball. That's guys who can do different things, right? That last pick, you could have gotten Liam McNeely or Rasheer Fleming.
And then the Nets traded their last pick, the second round pick.
Which became Adu Thiar, who was one of my favorite players.
I know. It's like everything lined up perfectly, and then I don't even know if you could take 6 rookies. I get you could legally.
I mean, you would have just had to gotten rid of all of the team option players like Keon Johnson, Jalen Wilson, Tyrese Martin. Like, you just would have had to decline all of those, which again I would have done. Like,
yeah, why,
at that point, if you're going to pick 5,
I wanted to build into that, but go ahead. That was my next question. Why would you bring back any of those guys? Any of them?
I don't know. I truly thought that Tyrese Martin and Jalen Wilson were 2 guys that were definitely gone. Like, I felt Keon earned his spot, even though we're not the biggest fans of him. The coaching staff loves him. He worked his ass off. He definitely did show signs of being like a solid 10th man on a team. But Drew Timme was a 50-50, right? It was like, let's see what he does in Summer League before saying if he earned it or not. He's definitely earned it. But Tyrese Martin, expendable. Jalen Wilson, expendable. You know, those were 2 guys that I definitely did not think should have come back. Just because, again, and I don't think they're going to come back because you have to look at the roster. There's 18 players currently on the roster. They need to drop 3 players, and that's including Cam Thomas, all right? So, like, there's 18 players with Cam Thomas. You have to drop 3 players to be able to make that 15-man roster spot. So, to me, Jalen Wilson and Tyrese Martin are 100% gone. It just depends on who that last person is, which is why I think you need to go out and trade Nick Claxton.
But if you trade Claxton, you're going to bring a player in, so you're going to be in the same situation.
Yeah, you're probably bringing a player in, but again, it's like, can you get 2 guys that you can maybe buy out? Could you get a guy that you can buy out and another guy that's worth keeping, so this way you can buy out somebody else on the team? Like, there's ways to work around that. Like, say they do get a veteran point guard in a trade for Claxton plus an expiring contract. You could then cut Tyrese Martin, Keon Johnson, and Jalen Wilson, keep that veteran point guard, and buy out the secondary guy that you got. Like, there's ways to work around that, but they've put themselves in a position where they need to cut players now or trade. Like, even if you add Jalen Wilson and Keon Johnson or Jalen Wilson and Tyrese Martin to a Claxton trade where you're only getting a player or 2 back, that would work. You know, so like they got to figure out a way to condense the roster.
Right, and the other thing is, I want to get to Cam Thomas and just you're including Cam Thomas as one of those guys on your roster, which I don't know that we should. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But you know, I think we're not doing justice by assuming, you know, Cam Thomas is going to have one of those roster spots. But even if you don't sign Cam Thomas, you're going to sign somebody else. You're going to do something else with that money. So you'll be bringing in another player. So we'll say Cam Thomas as the roster spot, although that may not be Cam Thomas. But yeah, I wanted to get back to that. You know, at 26 or 27, it just seemed like Rasheer Fleming was the obvious pick. When they picked Ben Surratt, and look, I was for the Wolf pick at the time. I'm going to be honest. After watching Danny Wolf just in the summer league, so it was only 3 games I think he played. Yo, that guy sucks. Danny Wolf sucks. Can we put that out there? Can I put that in the universe? That
I wouldn't say Danny Wolf sucks. And I said this last night on Breeze's podcast. He definitely has some concerns with the IQ when being face guarded, like when he's man-to-man press defense. He does have a lower IQ as of right now, and he's also a bit weak in terms of physicality. But we've seen him work. We've seen Jordi Fernandez specifically work with Nikola Jokic and Domantas Sabonis in his career as an assistant coach and as a developmental coach. Both of those guys have turned out great. Wolf has the same skill set as both. So I'm not going to write Wolf off until at least the end of year 2, because I got to see what he can do under that development if he's given the proper opportunities with Jordy Fernandez, which I think he should be given. And that's another reason why I'm so big on wanting to trade Claxton, because I want to see Sharp in a full starting role with Wolf as the full-time backup. Progress the development of both. Wolf, give him 15, 20 minutes a night. Day'Ron, give 30 plus. Like, Day'Ron Sharp's per 36 is 15 points and 14 rebounds at night. That's prime Andre Drummond numbers. You know what I mean? Like, that's a player
we've talked about this before, yeah.
Yeah, that's a player that could be something special. And if you put the right pieces around him, Noah Clowney works perfectly with a guy like Sharp, because though Clowney can't rebound as well, he can space the floor a bit more consistently than Sharp can. And even so, Sharp is already a better floor spacer than Nick Claxton is. Sharp is a better rebounder than Nick Claxton is. Boxing out players the way that Sharp can is going to lead to more defensive rebounds for other players on the team, like Michael Porter Jr., Noah Clowney, whatever that may be. Yegor, like, there's ways to build a better roster without Nick Claxton on the team, whether that be with the financial restrictions he puts on the team with the contract that he has, or just in terms of the development of other players at the same position, like Wolf and Sharp. So the solution for Brooklyn's very simple. Move on from Nick Claxton, go even younger, go even cheaper, and build up that flexibility and truly develop the guys that you currently have. Day'Ron Sharp, if you can develop him into a solid rotational piece, if not potential starter, you're looking at a guy that's making $6 million that you can include in a package that could get you something very valuable in return, or just simply a starting center, right? And I think that's what needs to be focused on, especially with the contract that Sharp's been given.
Yeah, I've pointed this out before, and when you're rebuilding like this, you need to try to hit on some of these salaries, right? Like, if you can get Sharp to be your starting center, which I think he can be, you got your starting center at $6 million.
Yeah. My take as of right now is those contracts were given because they're probably going to be moved at the deadline, unfortunately. Like, Zaire getting $6 million, come on. He's probably getting dealt to a contender at the deadline. Day'Ron Sharp received significant interest from numerous teams last season. I assume Boston looks back into that one. The
Zaire thing is, here's my point about Keon Johnson. The Nets think Keon Johnson is Zaire. He's not. Zaire will actually get rotational minutes. Probably not start, but he'll get rotational minutes on any playoff team because of his skill set. He can hit the corner three, and he can defend really well. He can defend multiple positions.
Yeah.
If I need a backup player, if I'm the Knicks, I would love to have Zaire Williams. I would love to have him. If I'm a lot of teams, the Magic, just Denver.
I think even Memphis could utilize Zaire again.
Sure.
Like realistically, right? Zaire on a $6 million deal. I would straight up trade him for Gigi Jackson.
I'm not saying he's an all-star. I'm not saying Zaire's
no,
a good
but he is a high caliber role player on a contending
player.
team. Like, he's your 7th, 8th man off the bench who can give you quality minutes on a championship roster. By far, he's showcased that he can be very reliable.
Like, as I'm saying, that's the player the Nets think Keon Johnson is, but Keon Johnson's not that good defensively, and he can't shoot at all. Keon Johnson is not Zaire. So that's what I wanted to get into next. Obviously, the roster construction makes no sense. Claxton's going to.
I'm looking at the comments here real quickly, and that's a trade that I proposed a while back. Was Grant Williams, Josh Green, and a first-round pick. Like that. That does make sense, and that is something that I've heard Charlotte could be interested in at some point, whether that be the trade deadline or next year's offseason. They don't have a starting big man as of right now. Like, genuinely have Diabot, whatever his name is, and then who did they sign in the offseason? It was some back. I think they brought back Mason Plumlee. They don't have a true starting center. And if you look at their current roster, it is worthy of a play-in potential. They have LaMelo, they have Con Kneppel, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges. They still have Tajon Saloon, Grant Williams, Josh Green. They just brought back Trey Mann. Like, they have a very, very well-rounded roster. The only hole that they have to fill is that center position. So realistically, moving on from 2 contracts that are 2-year deals, it matches up with what Brooklyn's looking to do in the 2027 offseason. Go get Grant Williams, go get Josh Green, and maybe a top 10 protected first-round pick next year. For a starting big man, that's something I definitely could see Charlotte doing, especially because he is a South Carolina native. Charlotte isn't too far from where he grew up. That connection with LaMelo Ball could be something of value, especially in the pick and roll as a lob threat. And plus, he fills that need as a defensive big in Charlotte. 100%. I have physically heard from people that I have spoken to that Charlotte is a team that has shown interest and could look into showing even more interest here in the near future. So I would definitely, Charlotte's the team that I've been pinning him to for 2 months.
We'll try to work that out too. And we keep saying that Claxton needs to get traded. Claxton needs to get traded. He's not a part of what we're doing. No offense to Nick Claxton, which almost certainly means that he's not getting dealt because Sean Marks is still the GM of this team.
Exactly.
So
yep.
Sean Marks likes you, you're staying. Sean Marks doesn't like you, you're gone. And Sean Marks likes Nick Claxton. He gave him a contract at the time a year ago. I said, well, all right, it's cool that we're keeping Claxton, but that's too much money. Now, after Claxton had the season that he had, it's like, Claxton sucks.
At the time, I wasn't big on the contract. I felt $27 million a year for a guy who puts up 10-9. That's not a valuable contract. Now, the descending contract year by year is valuable because you're getting him at $21 million a year in his final season, which is, listen, for a starting big man to make $21 million. That's not bad whatsoever, especially if you're putting him on a contender with a power forward who does something of opposite of what Claxton does, maybe, a little bit wider. Like if he played next to an Anthony Davis, he'd look incredible. You know what I mean? If he played next to a Jalen Johnson, he would look incredible. Like there's teams that do make sense for him. Playing next to a Miles Bridges or a LaMelo, like that would look very good for him. So
remember, we could have got Lively for Claxton a year ago.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, this is the incompetence of Sean Marks. Like, God dang it, bro. Like, Nick Claxton's not a good rebounder. Offensively, he's clueless. Offensively, he's as bad offensively as Luka is defensively. He just looks completely lost offensively. Like, there's no offensive nuance to his game at all. There's no skill set. He just looks like he's clueless on the offensive end. He's not a good offensive rebounder. He's not. Like, he's going to grab some rebounds because he's 6'11" and athletic, but he's not a good rebounder, right? He's never going to have good, rebounding percentages. Like, he's not a good rebounder. You got a chance to get Lively, who could be your starting center for 10 years. Why didn't you make that trade? This is the cluelessness of Sean Marks.
It's bad. It's really bad.
All right. And that's so let's segue into that now. Sean Marks is here. Is he on the hot sheet? Let's get to the topic. Or is he going to get 3 years to see this through with his 5 rookies? Because to me, I'm going to give you my answer first. And I want to hear Dylan expand on this. He did this so he bought himself more time. Because if the Nets are terrible and the rookies don't look, because I had 5 rookies. You got to give me time to see this through. And now he just bought himself more time. But go ahead, Dylan. Is his seat super hot, or are they going to give him years to see this through?
I mean, a logical business owner, yeah, you're on the hot seat. Joe Tsai, the guy that knows nothing about basketball, yeah, he's probably safe and sound.
This is why I said before last season, you got to fire Sean Marks right now. You cannot let him handle this draft.
Well,
there's too much on the line to let Sean Marks screw this up.
That's also why an organization usually has a president of basketball operations. The Nets don't. Considerably, it's Sean Marks. You can't have a chain of command and a proper system if you don't have the right people in place. And when you give somebody too much power, shit goes wrong. Again, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Mike Tomlin has had the ability to hire the last 6 offensive coordinators. 5 of those offensive coordinators have built one of the bottom 3 worst offenses each year over the past 8 years. Like, Mike Tomlin was the one who was able to write off on certain trades, certain players to sign. Every single year he's made the wild card, if not just missed the playoffs by 1 game and hasn't done shit. This is the problem. When you give certain people the power that they don't deserve, they make the wrong decisions and they suck at their job. Sean Marks is a good scout. He's a good guy to go talk to when you're having a bad day, maybe. Does he deserve to run an NBA organization? Does he deserve to have the final say? No. He's dog shit at his job. He does not deserve it whatsoever, and he has not proven to deserve it.
I don't understand how anyone could defend him. Like, I wish Mark was here. Mark, if you're in the chat, let us know. I'll send you a link because I do want to hear from you. I don't want this to be an echo chamber. But at what planet, by what metric, can you even make an argument that Sean Marks should keep his job here? It's not a success in the playoffs. It's not a success in the regular season. It's not any of the signs or trades that he's made. Like, there's nothing good with him. Like, him as a GM is the equivalent of Nick Claxton's offensive game. There's nothing good. There's nothing to point at. There's absolutely nothing positive. There's not one metric or what. There's nothing. Like, there's absolutely nothing. I don't understand why he would still be here after all these years. Like, what is keeping him here?
Josai.
I wanted to we spent the first 40 minutes on the draft. I wanted to move into the rest of this offseason. The Michael Porter trade. I like it, and I think Michael Porter's a good player. I actually like this, which means it's probably going to fail even harder. But I like the trade. We were excited when it happened. You're bringing him in. $40 million is an overpay. But to me, I said Michael Porter might be here now and for the future. And like you said, if he turns into a guy that is 24 points a game and 8 rebounds on a bad team, but then he just does for us what he did for Denver when we're eventually good, he's going to be here long term. Like, to me, Michael Porter Jr. might be here long term. Not on the $40 million deal, but what is his value the next 2 years when we're rebuilding, and then beyond that as a net, potentially down the road?
What's Sean Marks' value to this?
No, Michael Porter Jr.
Oh, I mean, I think that he is a similar player, just a more well-rounded player than Cam Johnson is. I don't think that he impacts the game of winning just yet at the level that Cam Johnson was. But I do think that at the age of 27, turning 28, with 2 years left on his deal, the potential to be in, playoff talks by the time his contract ends, if not is re-signed. I think that his impact could be seen very, very quickly in terms of the offensive production that could be enhanced in Brooklyn, especially with more touches, more shots. I definitely think that he could be a high caliber third option again on a contending team. And if he's to do that as the primary third option, because remember, in Denver, he was the primary third option scorer, but in terms of impact on winning, he was probably the fourth option behind Aaron Gordon, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of his real chance to improve his game that slightest bit that it takes to become that full-time third option on a contending team. And I think that that's something that could be seen in Brooklyn so far. I mean, that's what I'm expecting, at least.
I like Bill Simmons called this the worst trade of the decade for the Nets. I don't understand that at all. I don't
crazy.
I don't think Bill Simmons is a particularly smart basketball mind.
No, he's a Celtics fan.
Yeah. And he clearly hates the Nets, which I don't understand. Like, what did the Nets ever do to you, bro? Like, why do you hate the Nets, right? Like,
free championship.
I know. Why I don't understand why he hates the Nets, but he clearly does. But this trade to me, it works because right now you've got your star player. Whether or not he's a star, like, okay, I get it. He's not a star, but he's the guy that's going to score your points this year because Cam Thomas is going to be gone. But then down the road, he can. We saw that he can fit in any offense. So to me, like, I understand why Denver made it. Denver saved $20 million or whatever, or $15 million in the contract, and they were able to get Brown, and they were able to get other guys with that money that they saved. We get a first-round pick that's more than likely going to be a lottery pick, right, in 2032. Plus, we get a guy that we can build with. Cam Johnson is just a dude. Like, Cam Johnson is just a dude. He shoots threes. That's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing more complex to his game. That's all he is. Porter Jr. is a guy right now. Is he overpaid? Sure, he's overpaid, right? But he's a guy that you can build with. He can be a role player, and on a bad team, he can serve the role as the veteran who's the best player on the team. Like, I truly believe he's going to average between 22 and 24 points a game this year, right? Like,
yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's going to be on similar efficiencies to what Cam Thomas had done. I actually think if Cam Thomas returns, you could see an increase in his efficiencies because of Michael Porter Jr., right? Because it kind of gives that secondary option to where you can't just shoot a double team at him knowing that he's not going to pass. Now you have to worry about Michael Porter Jr., who also is probably not going to pass, right? So I think that kind of actually will help Cam Thomas and some of those efficiency issues. Now, Will you see him be a 24-plus point per game scorer next to Michael Porter Jr.? Maybe not. And the reason for that is because he may be taking a couple of less shots per game. But if that means him being more efficient, I've always been a person that said I value efficiency more than, scoring, right? Like Bradley Beal, when he was averaging 30 with Washington, meant nothing because they were not successful. But if you give Michael Porter Jr. 23 a game on, let's just say 47, 36, 80 shooting splits, right? And say you have Cam Thomas at 21 points on 50%, 38%, 88%, that looks much better than the 43, 36, 88 that he was on this year, right? So to me, it's more valuable to be efficient than it is to be a volume shooter.
I want to address this question. I think it's a reasonable question. Do you think the Nets front office is putting Michael Porter Jr. in the position Bridges was in where he goes from a third option to a temporary 1 or 2 option, helping recruit a star for the future?
I mean, he is not a first or second option, but he's also on a horrible team, so he's immediately going to be put in that second option role, right? So is he a true second option? No. But is he on this team currently? Yeah. I think he's like a 1A, 1B to Cam Thomas. I think they're both similar in skill set offensively.
Who would you rather have? MPJ or Bridges?
Probably Michael Porter Jr. And the only reason I say that is he's not as good of a defender as Bridges, but he's a more consistent three-point shooter. He's taller. He's a better rebounder. I think he just fits systems a little bit better than Mikal does. Mikal is a 4th, 5th option on a contending team. There's no doubt about that, right? Porter has proven to be a 3rd option scorer and a 4th option impactful winner. And he did it on a championship team, something that Mikal has not done, even with the Knicks and what could be considered a super team in the East right now, right? So I would definitely say I value Michael Porter Jr.'s game a bit more than I do Mikal Bridges.
I never really got the Mikal Bridges is a great defender thing. I know he made an all defensive team once with Phoenix. That's not an argument. That doesn't tell me anything about how he played defense. You just tell me he got a trophy. I never really got the Mikal Bridges as a great defender. I never really saw that. And I was like hoping for, I don't know. Yeah, I would, to me, between Michael Porter Jr. and Mikal Bridges, I would take Porter nine times out of 9. Like it's not particularly close. Assuming, the contracts, everything were the same. If you just said to me, everything's the same, who would you rather have, Porter Jr. or Bridges? I'm taking Porter Jr. 9 out of 9. No?
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, John, yes, I think that Porter Jr. is in that position that Bridges was 2 years ago. The only difference is that Sean Marks was expecting that team to go out and win and compete, at least be a playing team. That's what he was expecting. The expectations aren't the same. With Michael Porter Jr. this year, they know. I don't know. I don't know what Mark thinks, but the rest of us, we know that team's not going to be any good. That's the difference, right? In that 23-24 season, where he was supposed to carry us, they were hoping, can we go 500 and make the play-in? No one has that expectation with Michael Porter Jr. and the Nets. So that's. Yes, to answer your question, yes, but the expectations are far, far different. This is a tank season. I mean, there's no way we can view this as anything other than a tank season. Correct, Dylan?
If this team surpasses 23 wins, I'm going to freak the fuck out.
They're going to win 27, 28 games.
I do not. I genuinely do not see this team winning more than 20. It's too young. It has no experience depth. It has no bench that is going to compete with NBA level benches. It doesn't. If this team pulls shit off, God, then give Jordy 2 stars and fucking figure this thing out. Because at that point, this isn't even worth it anymore. Somehow you messed up a rebuild with no picks. You messed up a contending team, and now you messed up a rebuild with your picks. Just fucking do something right at that point.
Michael Porter Jr. is going to play like an animal. Cam Thomas, if Cam Thomas is back on this roster, Cam Thomas is going to have such a chip on his shoulder. We're going to win games again, like we did last year, just because they underrate us. They were out partying in New York City last night, and now they got to play the Nets, and they're hungover, right? We're going to just win games by accident like we did last year. And, you said gold starter Jordy Fernandez. Yeah, we have a good coach. And when you have a good coach who gets a bunch of young players to play, you might win some games by accident. And like that's kind of how I see this again.
I hope not. Hopefully teams figure out how to defend Jordy's system. I mean, the offensive system isn't great because of the talent that's on it.
No, I think the offensive system is putrid, honestly. I think Jordy Fernandez's offense sucks.
I mean, I wouldn't say it sucks, only because it has no talent. Like, I'm sorry, Cam Thomas is your only offensive talent. It does not help. Right.
Agree. Right. Yeah. You try to run pick and roll basketball with Martin. It's like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. That is not Luka. That is not James Harden running the point. This is Tyrese Martin. So I get it. There's no offense, right? So it just becomes dribble handoffs, pass the ball around the perimeter, 3-point hunt. Penetrate and pitch. But to me, it seemed like that's what they wanted to do, right? Like they keep saying they're going to keep shooting more threes. It's like, okay, is it going to be inside out? If it's going to be inside out, who's the inside guy? Yeah. Or is it just going to be pass the ball around the perimeter and launch a three? Is that the, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it let Trey try to blow past someone if he can't, then pass the ball around the perimeter and launch a three? Is that the offense?
Pretty much.
I mean, it's not an offense. You know what I'm saying? That's not an offense.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's going to be a very messy season, and that's why I'm saying you have to worry about the development of 5 players. You have to worry about upgrading Michael Porter Jr.'s offensive game. You have to still maintain Cam Thomas and hope that he improves as a playmaker. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to do that's probably going to result into like mistakes and losses. Which is why I don't see this team winning more than 20. I don't even think it's going to be close. This should be the worst team in basketball next to Utah. And that's if Lauri Markkanen is utilized the way that he has been the past 2 seasons, which is load management, so this way they can tank. Only way that I see the Nets not being the worst team in the league. Washington is levels ahead of Brooklyn.
Charlotte. I think you're probably right. Their roster's probably better. I think you overrate their young guys. I think you overrate them.
Oh, no, I think Bilal Coulibaly can be a very solid foundational 4th option in terms of impact on winning. I think Alex Sarr can be a solid 3rd or 2nd option, especially on that caliber of a team. I think Bub Carrington is a very well-rounded combo guard.
Yeah.
Like they have talent. They now have Trey Johnson, who's going to be, a similar scoring threat to a Cam Thomas. Like they have players, and that's the thing. They have young players who complement each other very well. Bub Carrington, 6'5", 6'6" point guard that can play make, next to 6'5", 6'6" Trey Johnson, who can primarily score. That works. Alex Sarr, 6'11", 7-foot, big that can play the 4 and the 5, but can also space the floor and defend at a high caliber. Next to a guy, like Bilal Coulibaly, who could be utilized as a similar role to like an OG Anunoby in terms of his defensive upside and his floor spacing. Yeah, that works, right? That's where I see the value in their youth. Yeah, are any of them number 1 options? Probably not. But if you're talking about your 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's a foundation. And when you put veteran leadership like CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton around that, that's going to result into some wins. And a lot more than what Brooklyn likely has.
Right, no, and I agree with you. If you said to me, here, you can have one of these 2 rosters, the Nets or the Wizards. We're not looking at future picks. We're just looking at the current roster setup right now.
Whose
rosters? The Wizards 9 out of 9 times, for sure. Yeah. It's
and
not close.
You also have to look at it this way, too. These are young guys who are going to be taking leaps, potentially. Alex Sarr could be in the conversation as a borderline star this upcoming season. With the way that he looked in the Summer League, he looked like the best player out there for most of those games. Bub Carrington looks like a guy that can really be a solid 15 points, 6, 7 assists type of guy at night, right? Yeah. That's valuable. And if it was my prediction, I try to make predictions every year. Last year, to me, it was Detroit and Charlotte being play-in playoff teams. Of course, Charlotte dealt with injury, so that didn't happen. But Detroit was the most underrated team last season. This year, if it was my prediction, I think Washington finishes as the 8th or the 9th seed in the East. I truly do. I think they're going to be better than Chicago. I think that they're going to be better than Boston because I think Boston's going to purposely tank. I think that they can be better than, there's going to be a competition between them and Charlotte. But yeah, I could genuinely see Washington potentially sneaking in as a play-in team. The highest I can see them going is 8th seed. The lowest I can see them going is 11th seed. That's kind of where I
You could be right. Like they could get hot down the end of the season, like Portland did. Portland didn't get into the play-in, but they got to 11, right?
Yeah.
I could see Washington doing that. I can see that. I mean, is that really
like
what you
nobody
want?
expected Portland to be good last year, and good isn't 11 seed, but for what they were projected as a top 3 team, in terms of like bottom team, they were projected to be a top 4 pick. For them to have been the 11 seed, competing with teams in the Western Conference, the 11th seed in the West probably would have been the 8th seed in the East. So they are a solid team, and that's where I kind of view Washington being.
The last thing I want to get into is obviously, we both approve of the Porter Jr. trade, right? Like that, we think
absolutely love it.
Whenever
you got an unprotected 2032 pick, which is a year that you can 99.9% say Jokic is either retired or not in Denver. Yeah, that's an incredibly valuable pick.
If you had to say, is that pick going to be a lottery pick, and Vegas had to set the odds on that, it would be like minus 500 that it's a lottery
I would
pick.
Put it at more. I think it would be like a minus 1,500.
Yeah, so I mean, it's almost certainly going to be a lottery pick. I want to get into the last thing is the Cam Thomas situation. That's the last thing I want to address on this offseason for Marks. I don't even think this is that poorly played. We talked about this, the $14.1 million contract, whatever it is. Obviously, he's not going to sign that. What is his best move with Cam Thomas? And what's his best move? And what's the move he's going to make?
I truly think the best move that he can make is taking that 14.1, but make it a 2-year flat-out contract. Go into free agency in 2027 where teams are preparing to load up financially. Prove yourself. Be a borderline star, develop a second aspect to your game, and go test your market then. Because either you're going to be traded for a star and you're going to be put in a situation that's better for you, or you're going to hit unrestricted free agency and you can probably make a lot more money in 2027 than you can next year. Because the qualifying offer is going to put him into unrestricted free agency next year, and the only team right now with valuable cap space is Washington.
And they don't want him because they have Trey Johnson.
Yeah, they have Trey Johnson, they have Bilal, they have Bob Carrington. As of right now, they have CJ McCollum. Like, they don't need a Cam Thomas at all.
It can't, the question becomes, what would Cam, like, what amount of money on a 2-year deal do you think you'd have to throw at Cam to get him to accept that contract?
I would say $18 million a year, flat out contract, no options.
So 18, so 36 over 2?
Yep. And I would be fine with that. Anything below $21 million at this point, I would be fine with, as long as it's not longer than a 3-year flat out contract. If it's a 3-year team option deal, I can get behind that. Player option, I probably wouldn't do on a 3-year deal, just because if he is not playing to par and he isn't traded and he can accept that deal, then I wouldn't do it. But a 2-year flat out deal or a 3-year team option deal between 17 to 20 million, I can live with that.
Here's like what I'm going to say. You say if he's not playing to par. I don't have that word with Cam, because like I feel like he's going to have better season.
I mean, when I say to par, I mean improving his skill set. Like the bar for him right now is to develop a second aspect to his game. He needs to if he ever wants to get paid.
He's not going to.
So yeah, and that's my point. Right?
He's not going to. I used to do this with Jet fans all the time with Zach Wilson, and they would tell me Zach Wilson's getting better. Okay, great. Does he do anything at the NFL level? No. Okay, then I don't care that he's gotten better. He doesn't. Is Cam Thomas ever going to be an NBA caliber defender?
No.
Is he ever going to be an NBA caliber playmaker?
As a shooting guard, if he can get to 4.5, 5 assists per game, then maybe. But and listen, he ain't
getting 5 assists, bro. Come on, 5.
If he
5.
Can. If he can,
he'd have to have the ball in his hands the entire game and face double teams from jump to get 5 assists a game. And that's going to come with 5 turnovers a game too. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could get 5 assists a game at absolute max, but he's going to have the ball in his hands every possession, facing double teams every possession. And that 5 assists is going to come along with 5 turnovers too. I mean, okay, so that's not good. Like, that's not a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is very bad, and that's what he is though. Like, I can't ever see a
The
world
only
where
reason I can see his assist numbers going up is on examples where he's driving to the hoop and Michael Porter Jr. is open for a wide open three. Like, can he get to 4.5, 5 this year? I think so. I do think so, because this past season with no other scoring threats next to him, he did put up 3.7 or 3.8, whatever it was. So is it hard to say that he can put up 1.2 more assists per game? I don't think it's far-fetched, but is it going to come at a solid turnover ratio? Maybe not. Like, if he can be a 5-2, that's an improvement. 5-1 is the goal. But if he can become a 5-2 as a playmaker, I can live with that.
5 assists, 2 turnovers?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, right now. He's getting 5 assists.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen either. I think he's going to be more of like a 5 to 3.5.
What Gary is describing is a 6-man. Yes, which I value. Which I've been saying this for like 2 years now. That's what he is, and I don't mean that to disparage him. I mean that to compliment him. I think that's valuable. I've always compared him to Lou Will. Like that's the comp. I don't mean that to disparage him. Like I said, he's like Jordan Clarkson, but better than Jordan Clarkson. I don't mean that to insult him. That's a good player. That's valuable in a playoff series. If he can score in the playoffs, and you're in, it's a half court and it's a grind, and you can't score, and you've just given up a 10-point lead because the other team's gone on a 12-2 run, and you cannot put the ball in the basket. You can give the ball to Cam and let Cam work, and he's going to get you points. I'm never going to worry about Cam being able to score. I think he is a unique, top-notch scorer. But that's all he can do. He has no other skill set. Nothing. So I value him, but I value him in that role. Like I don't think Cam's ever going to have problems scoring. I also don't think he's ever going to be decent at anything else. Like, could he become a better playmaker? Sure. He's still not an NBA caliber playmaker. Like, I mean, so it doesn't matter. Like, but yes, I believe that he's a 6-man. I've said that for a couple of years now. That's his role. That's his niche. Try to thrive in that role. He's a microwave scorer. Simple and plain. Let's not try to make him out to be anything more than that.
I agree.
How much is that worth? And I think you're right. In today's market, I would say 18 to 20 million. Jordan Clarkson's contract that they got bought out of was what, 16 million? I would say Cam's is better than that. So I think 20 million is fair. Would Cam Thomas sign a 2-year, $40 million contract? I guess he would have to, right? Like he has to. If the Nets put 2 years, $40 million on the table and said sign it, Cam's got to sign that, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
And so that's kind of the value of Cam Thomas. What's gonna happen? We gave the ideal situation with him. What's gonna happen with him from here till the start of the season?
It's probably going to be that qualifying offer. I think it's horrible for both sides.
I agree. I think it's less horrible for Cam because Cam.
No, I think it actually may be worse for him because I don't see a team paying him next year. Not one.
Next year's a very different offseason. Teams will have money next year potentially. I don't know if they're going to give it to Cam, but if Cam goes out here, plays 65, 70 games, averages 25 points a game on 46, 35 shooting, and he faces double teams and he cuts down on the turnovers, someone's going to give him that money, no?
I don't think so. Because the CBA restricts people, and you're not paying big money to people anymore that aren't 1 through 3 options. And again, is Cam Thomas ever going to be a 1 through 3 option in terms of impact on winning?
Well, it depends on what you mean. Was Jay Cross a 1 to 3 option on any of the teams he's been on? It was Lou Williams.
Jay Cross?
Crawford, yeah.
Oh,
Will Crawford. Okay. He got paid. You know what I'm saying?
But that was before the CBA, though. You got to compare guys to the CBA, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like Jabari Smith is getting 20 to 25 million. Who would you say is a better player, Jabari Smith Jr. or Cam Thomas? Who impacts winning more?
Jabari. Yeah.
You're right. I look at some of these guys. The rebounding, the defense, the versatility at 6'11", the fact that he was just on the number 2-3 seed in the Western Conference with a young team and no solidified superstar. Yeah, Jabari Smith is probably more valuable than Cam Thomas in terms of impact on winning. Same thing with Trey Murphy.
I know that what's the UConn guard? Kemba Walker.
I gotta respond to Breeze real quick too, because it's like, how are we gonna say he's an impactful winner as a 1-3 option when he's never done it on a team that's won? Can't say that. This is all assumption. This is nothing here is proven. As a number 1 option, he was 7-16 this year as a starter. In his career, he's 29-51 as a starter. He has not shown that he is an impactful winner. No. There's nothing that you can do to justify that. Men lie, women lie, stats don't. And the stats show that he's not an impactful winner.
Women especially lie because they can't handle the truth, right? So, Cam's gonna get paid regardless. By who? Maybe by who's gonna pay him? Like I've talked about this before. If you can keep him on the qualifying offer, well then throw the money at Kuminga if you feel Kuminga is the right fit. Because Kuminga is a very good role player for any team. He could be a second or third option. If you have him and Porter Jr., now all you need is that superstar. And we'll have the cap space and the money and the draft picks to make that trade in the future. So to me, if you can get Kuminga, just get Kuminga. Because he fits in what you're looking to do. Cam Thomas doesn't. So to me, the strategy in which he's applying makes sense. He's offering Cam a 2-year contract because once that 2-year contract is up, he doesn't want Cam Thomas here when we're really looking to compete, right? That's what he's saying.
Yeah,
it's disrespectful to Cam Thomas, but it's also not unreasonable. Like I know that's going to upset people, but by that contract, what Sean Marks is telling Cam Thomas is, I don't really value you now, and I definitely don't value you when we're trying to win.
Yep. I agree.
I mean, I know half the people are going to disagree with that, and half the people are going to agree with it. It's a power move. But Cam Thomas, to me, when they drafted Jaeger, I said, oh, well, Jaeger and Cam kind of go together. Maybe they're trying to make that work. Maybe their plan is to keep Cam here. And then when they drafted the rest of the guys, like, no, they're not trying to keep Cam here. And now it's evident, right? Like it's clear as day that 2-year, $14 million with the option on the second year, they don't want to keep him here at all. They value him even less than I thought they did, to be completely fair.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely didn't think it was going to be this much devaluing. I mean, but again, it makes sense. You don't have the market to dictate your own value. If you feel you're worth something that you can't afford in this market, then you're not going to get paid for it.
Is Cam Thomas going to start the season with the Brooklyn Nets?
I would say so.
Is he going to end the season with the Brooklyn Nets?
If it's on the qualifying offer, he's going to have to, because he's not going to accept a trade.
But doesn't he have to accept a trade? If the Nets are willing to trade you, there's a playoff team at the deadline who wants to bring Cam Thomas in. Doesn't he have to show that he can score in the NBA playoffs? Because, like, here's my point. There's no market for Cam Thomas. If Cam Thomas can go out on a playoff team and score 20 points a game in 25, 27 minutes, wouldn't that bring up his offer? If he proves that he can score in the playoffs consistently, he goes to a team that goes to, let's say, the second round, he's averaging 20 points a game in the playoffs. Doesn't that bring up his value as a free agent that he can score in the playoffs?
I mean, we're talking about the Nets making the playoffs?
No, I'm saying the Nets trading Cam Thomas to a playoff team.
Oh, I would definitely think that ups his value.
Right, so he has to accept the trade. If the Nets are willing to trade him to a playoff team at the deadline, doesn't he have to accept that trade?
Yeah, I would say so.
So what I'm saying, as much as he wants to stick it to the Nets, he wants to get paid too. And the only chance he's got of getting paid is going to a playoff team and scoring in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would say, well, you're saying Cam Thomas is going to be here on day one of the regular season.
Yeah, I would have to think so.
My guess is he is not. That they're going to work out some type of sign and trade. And I don't know. I don't know who for what. Detroit is a good guess of mine. I think he makes sense in Detroit. I think that Jaden Ivey thing has legs. I don't know if the Nets are interested in Jaden Ivey, but I don't think Cam Thomas is going to be here to start the season. And if he is, I definitely can't see him being here beyond the trade deadline. So
it's possible.
All right. That was a fun show today, Dylan. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to wrap us up with?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right. That was good. That was what I wanted to get onto. And Sean Marks, let's just put a little bow on this. How much longer is he going to be here? And how hot is his seat?
Until I'm fucking dead.
He's going to be here. He's getting a gold watch. They're going to retire. They're going to retire Sean Marks.
Yeah, at this point, you have to think so. They're not showing any signs of getting rid of him, and I have no clue how. The guy doesn't deserve a job.
We went over the records. We went over there's no argument to keep him. None. Zero. There's zero legitimate argument. There's zero things that you can point at and say that's why he's here. There's nothing. There's nothing to point at. It's not good. There's nothing here that's good. You can say, well, he drafted Cam Thomas 27th overall. Fantastic. He thinks Cam Thomas sucks.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Hopefully they figure this shit out.
All right, guys. We got to wrap this up. Dylan, when can you come back?
Let's shoot for Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday.
All right. Sounds good. We'll be back Wednesday or Thursday. That was a fun show today. It's July 28th, 2025. From Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Later.